Welcome to my apiary. For your edification as well as mine is I'm going to choose a couple of colonies and I'm going to do a deep dive. I'm going to dig in there. I'll show you what's in there, show myself what's in there. I think I know what I find. I know what I hope to find, but I'm not sure what I'm going to see. So we'll have to do that. Because really, other than that cold, rainy week, we've had some pretty nice weather so far this fall. So that nice weather means brood, right? So we'll do that together. This plan to go into these hives today, I'm really afraid to do this because the bees are not happy this time of year. I've tried to wait for a really sunny day. If they're flying, that's a good thing. I'm wearing long pants. I'm going to dress up in my jacket, start the smoker, and I'm getting prepared to get stung a number of times. And that's what's going to happen. So I hope you enjoy this, because I'm pretty sure that I'm not going to enjoy parts of it. So let's just do it. Okay, I've got the gloves as backup, just in case. Get the pail off. Make sure I got the smoker tuned up here. That pail's empty as I expected. Oh, dumped the water down the hole. That wasn't very good. Okay, sorry bees. So I'll just put a feed plug in that, a yellow plug when I'm done, because the pails are empty. I plan to take the apivar out while I'm here. Now, these two colonies, this one and that one, I'll show you both. I want to look in these because this was something a little different this year. You may or may not remember that video. But I had a major nosema infection this spring. Major nosema infection, like 50 million spores. And I went through an extensive refresh project, and that included culling brood combs, melting down the wax, pulling all of the frames from the brood chamber that didn't have brood on all the colonies. These two colonies, I went one step further. I was talking to my friend James McNally in Alberta, and he said, you know, something you can do that he has experience with. He said, basically take your colonies, and he said, yeah, do an experiment, like take a couple maybe, and shake packages. So what I did was I took this brood chamber off the stand. I put a new box on it, a clean box, a replacement box, and I put 10 frames of drawn comb in that box. And then I took all of the frames from the brood chamber and I shook them, bees and queen, onto that new comb. So essentially I've shaken a package out of my own stock. And so I've been kind of watching these through the summer to see how they progressed, and you know, they did catch up. They were behind a while, but they did catch up. So I want to just do another check on these. The brood that was in these, I did preserve it. I just put it in other colonies, just because I didn't want to waste it. Yeah, I hear them already. I'm very nervous. This is I've worked bees this time of year before, and it's not a fun thing at all. As you can tell, I've got long pants on. You know, things are serious when I got long pants on. I mean, if it was just the weather, I'd still be in shorts. It's not that cold. I'm stalling. Can you tell I'm stalling? I just don't want to be without my smoker. It's my only defense. I'm just going to smoke the neighbors just so their guard bees don't take offense to what I'm doing. Let's pull that cover back away from me so I can get a feel for the bees. I wouldn't say that this is the strongest colony in the world. But we'll check it out. I want to wear my glove to pull that apivar out. See what they've done here? I don't know if you can see it really, but they built all this comb right up to the foamy, the inner cover, and they've actually pushed the toothpick that's in the apivar up into the right up to the inner cover. It's not laying on the hive, the frame top bar anymore, like it was when I put it in. See what they do? I'm probably going to have to just work this and take that out when I get there. Okay, so what are you expecting to see? Start thinking about what you're expecting to see. I've put 5 gallons of 2-to-1 syrup in here over the past 6 weeks. Take into account my latitude, my location. So here's a very heavy frame. It's all capped there. This side is less than capped, but it's full of syrup all the way down. Okay. Here's another one. There's some bees. And what are the bees covering up? The bees are covering up syrup. There's some syrup and there's some pollen there. Okay. There's a drone. There's a couple of drones. There's 3, 4. So there's a few drones in here still. They haven't kicked them all out to die, which I'm kind of surprised the 12th of October. You know, I think the drones should be pretty well gone. Although, you know, I have seen drones in the middle of winter. I don't generally look in the colonies in the middle of winter in the shed, but I have, and I have seen drones. Okay, so what's this? This is almost the empty cells, really. There's some open cells of syrup there. And this one also is empty cells. It's this capped syrup and then empty cells. Looks like they could take a little more syrup. The wax is so cold. I mean, it's not cold, but it's not warm like it usually is. It's very brittle. It's hard to pull that out. Okay, so this is number 4. We're almost to the middle. And again, this is some open cells, mostly capped syrup. See, they've even filled syrup and capped it behind the apivar strip there. And so what I'm really looking for is there any young brood in those open cells? I have not seen any yet. And part of what's telling me a story here is the lack of heat. I can do this and there's not a lot of heat. So what that tells me, you know, no heat, no brood, right? It's something I didn't really tune into as much before I started not wearing gloves as a rule. There's a bunch of drones here. That's surprising. So there's a little bit of pollen. More and more pollen as I get to the center. But again, cluster of bees, no brood. So if you think about the relationship between brood, or no brood in this case, and mites, and mite control, then what kind of things do you think about? How are those two things related? And we all know that a brood break is very good for mite control. So that's good. So again, mostly syrup, few open cells, tiny bit of pollen. Same on this side. And again, those open cells, there's nothing in them. There's no brood so far. This isn't as bad as I thought it was. The bees are actually behaving themselves for the most part. So another frame of mostly syrup. There's quite a few drones. That's surprising. No brood, just syrup, a few empty cells, a little bit of pollen. Not much pollen at all, really. But pollen is baby food. So if there's no brood, they're not going to be burning through that pollen. Excuse me, drone. Excuse me, honeybee. So again, big frame of syrup, a few empty cells. We're 8 frames in to a 10 frame brood chamber, and not one cell of brood. There's pollen on the legs, but I've got that feeder over there, so that maybe that's what it is. Yeah. And this, you wouldn't call this a box of bees, would you? It's kind of would like it to be a little stronger. The same thing. And these are really heavy, so I'm going through this fast because those frames are really, really heavy. Which is what you want. This box, the box, the lid, frames and all, without the bottom, should weigh nearly 100 pounds. I don't have a scale set up to tell me that. So all I can do is lift it. I can usually tell when I'm moving my bees in, when I turn this around, just so that those open cells are near them. Maybe they can fill them with what, I'm not sure, because I'm done feeding. Oh well, maybe that wasn't thought through. It's kind of the sort of thing I do in the summer. Okay, so I'm content with that. It's, again, not the biggest colony, and again, there's no heat to speak of. If this was a brooding colony, I would feel that heat radiating. So, being that the apivar is now out, this colony is ready for bed. I have managed that colony for the last time until at least April, early to mid-April probably. That was a little bit of a sad thought. kind of hope this is not the standard for my apiary, because these two colonies look pretty weak. I don't know about weak. They don't look as big as I would like. But there's zero I can do about that now. What I'm looking at is feed stores. The feed stores look good. So again, this one is, the only thing that's not syrup is pollen here. And you notice that I didn't say, oh, there's the queen. I've done this only a few times in my career, but I've never seen a queen when I dig down this time of year. I'm pretty sure they're in there. I hope they are. Okay, so here we have some brood. So this one is at a little different stage. The open cells have nothing. So she's not backfilled that with eggs or young brood, but she's got a pretty good little nest going there still, and that's only the second frame. Put my hand on a bee. I guess they don't really keep it as warm when there's sealed brood, when there's no open brood. Because I should feel that, especially sticking my hand right down in there. Well, there is open and young brood in here. So this is not really what I want to see. And there's my red dot queen right here. That's a red dot queen. That says 23 on the lid. That's kind of weird. 23. Well, this is 23. Yeah, red dot queen. I'm getting confused sometimes. Okay, so I know where the queen is. I'm always nervous pulling the apivar out. If the queen is sitting on it or something. Okay, so what do I do? Do I refill the pail? Because there's a lot of space here. That's the end of the brood nest. There's a little bit right here. Set that down. There's a little bit right here. And some that she laid probably 4 or 5 days ago. There's some there too. I guess that wasn't the end of it. Okay. See, that's interesting, isn't it? That one hive there, done. They're done brooding. And this one, not ready to give it up. So I was talking about mite control and brood breaks, but there's another aspect to mite control, and that has to do with those sealed cells. We all know there's varroa mites in those sealed cells. And when I do oxalic acid vapor treatment, perhaps next week, the mites that are in those sealed cells are not going to get treated with oxalic acid vapor. Let's see these again. So I'm getting right into the same thing. I think I'll stop here, but getting into the same thing. Just syrup, no brood. So I have a little nest here. And, you know, I could sort of center that. I don't know if I should. I've got, so there's like 4. I could take 2 frames, bring them over here. These are kind of generic because they don't really have anything but syrup on them. See, completely filled with syrup. Take these two frames. This one back in here. I don't know if that's the right move or not. The idea is the cluster can move either way to get feed over the winter. I think there probably are a lot of opinions on how that works and what the best way is. Okay. And again, this one is being put to bed. And I'll see them in April. They'll get some oxalic acid still, but I don't have to open them up to do that. I think I'd like to look at a couple more at least. I haven't sat on a box and managed a colony in a long time. You say how long? Wow, it was probably June, because I don't manage them like this in honey flow. I guess I probably did, but only a few. Maybe if I thought, oh, it's queenless, or I did actually do a few queen checks when I pulled honey, but it certainly wasn't anything like this. Okay, this is different. This is what in the world is this? There's all these brand new frames. That's a little different. It's almost, this is a swarm, I think. I didn't mark on the lid. This was a swarm capture. And I think what we're looking at here is a swarm capture. And this was a box of foundation that the swarm moved into. So they've set this up completely from scratch. And I don't remember the date. Specifically, it was likely later on because I didn't mark the box. I was busy. There's plenty of open syrup there. Now I am seeing what looks like brood here. There's some sealed brood that's emerging, but there's nothing in the open cells. Same here. Same thing, some open cells but no brood, and the open cells kind of bother me. I'm thinking they should have more syrup. I have some there, maybe I should fill that pail again, because there's a lot of open space here. I have a few swarms. They're a lot like this year. So there's quite a bit of sealed emerging brood here. So if you know your life cycle, which you should, you're a beekeeper, that life cycle you should know at the back of your hand. I made them mad. Then you'll know that if a cell is sealed today, Generally in 12 days that cell will be emerged. They're capped on about day 8. Emerge on day 21, so 13 days. The brood doesn't bother me. You know, that's tomorrow's bees. However, it's the lack of syrup bothers me. They've got a lot of brood frames going on here, and I do see eggs on this frame. So she's still at it. It's not what I was expecting, and it's not exactly what I want. If they're brooding, they're eating, and they'll burn through their winter stores too quickly if they're eating enough to brood. All right, I think I want to put another pail on that. I maybe don't need a whole 2.5 gallons, but give them something. I'm kind of having fun. Haven't worked bees in a long time. They really glue these pails down. A little more population in this one. Now this is the first one I've looked at so far that I would call a normal colony, because it's a 2022 queen, so it's an overwintered colony that's gone through honey flow, and nothing crazy unusual has happened to it. Whereas, you know, as I described, these had something special. This one's a swarm, so it's a little special. And this is more representative in that demographic of my apiary. So I gotta see what's going on here. So that's solid syrup, a little bit of open syrup on that side. Look at that one. There's not one open cell on that. That's solid capped syrup there, solid capped syrup there, 100%. And that's exactly what I want to see. I want to see 10 frames of that. And so there's some pollen here, and open syrup in these uncapped cells. So that's frame 3. Okay, there's a couple of sealed cells here. There's a few. There's nothing in the open cells. There's open cells with syrup. There's my red dot queen. Now this says 22 on the lid. This is definitely not a 22 queen if that color is correct. Now what's she doing? Is she laying eggs? Yeah, she's maintaining a little brood nest there. All right. Tiny little brood nest. But she's almost done. That's all she's got. Because a few open cells here, there's nothing. A few open cells here. Nothing. I didn't bring my Mike Berry flashlight. So that's okay. That's just that one frame. That's not a big problem. Little tiny brood nest. Few bees. Okay. She surprised me. Look at this. This is a whole bunch of sealed brood here. There's brood here that's probably on day 6 or 7. And there's actually some younger brood in there too. So she threw me a curveball as well. So that tiny brood nest is displaced. There's a frame here of nothing in the middle of the nest. You know, if we call this one nest, which it's technically, you know. Okay. Now I shouldn't sort things around. You know, people say, "Oh, do I change my frames around this time of year?" And I always say no. And that's what I just did. I think I see a couple of eggs in there. Okay, these nests are not as far along as I expected. It's 12th of October though, so it's, you know, that egg is going to emerge in November. And look at the sealed brood here. Goodness, that's kind of crazy. All right. I'm not sure how to interpret this. Yeah, sealed brood there too. Oh boy. I'd like to feed them some more, but I don't really have the weather for it. You know, get all that moisture in the hive that might cause some problems. Molding and fermenting syrup and all this kind of thing. This is what I want to see. I want to see 10 of these and a nice cluster. These bees, they always throw you a curveball, you know. Now I turn that around. This is sealed. This has some open syrup, and I'd like them to consume that open syrup sooner than later, so it doesn't absorb relative humidity in the air. And if it absorbs too much humidity over a long period of time, it'll ferment, and then it makes the bees sick. Yeah, so you tell me, what do I do? I'm getting so I don't have the weather for a lot more feeding. I'd have to mix syrup again. The syrup I have is pretty thin. Yeah. I'll have to think on that. Like I say, you know, I'm just a guy. I'm just a beekeeper on a journey. I'm not a wizard. I'm going to use the cool day to my advantage. I'm going to move this hive. And although there is a little tiny bit of flight, hardly any, I'm just going to move it here. So whereas the entrance will be the other way, it'll be facing where it was. So they should be fine. We'll do a good old-fashioned tip up. That's a heavy box. Look at that. It's not bad. It's not a box of bees, but it's not bad. Oh, it's heavy. I don't know it's 100 pounds, but it's heavy. Okay. Now I can pick up this pallet and dump the bees. It's a lot of drones. We got it open, so let's have a look. So the cluster was over here. %100% sealed syrup. 100% almost sealed syrup. I know people often say, "Well, you winter indoors. Well, you can feed them all winter." And no, you can't. That's just a logistical problem. It's too cold in there for the feed to cure. They're stacked, so I can't very well get pails on them. I could use frame feeders, but then I can't get in it to fill them. I just have never seen how that is possible. That one ended up outside the cluster. So here's some open syrup. Breathing smoke. I'm wondering, where's the smoke coming from? There's some open cells there, but there's nothing in them. There's a surprising amount of drones in here. Maybe I should be grafting or something. You know, I'm kidding. I don't know if you can see that. Let's see how many drones there are here. It's kind of nutty. Well, there's the sealed brood. And lots of drones. Weird. Just the tail end of emerging brood here, and I don't believe there's anything in the open cells. And there's the queen. There's the queen right there. Now, that's not a marked queen. And this lid, oh no, that lid is that's a gentleman that I got this colony from this spring. So that's his. See, there's some young larvae there, so she's still trying to maintain that nest over there. Oh goodness, these bees are not set up for winter. I'm gonna put these syrup frames over here and get this cluster sort of kind of like, that's exactly what I want to see right there. That's what you want. Okay, I have to decide what to do with these. I don't know. I sure like to get some more feed in them, but I don't know if I have time. Okay, this one I don't think is good at all. They've taken syrup and sealed it up, so, you know, that's good. Maybe I have to take some of these syrup frames from the dying colonies and put them in the ones that are in better shape. Because this one is not looking good. I'm not encouraged here. There's still some open larvae there. Oh, these nests are so they're not shut down for winter. I'll be phoning my mentor when I'm done this. Okay, let's have a look at some of these. Not exactly boomers. Well, not this one anyway. Okay, this is empty on this side and mostly syrup on that. Unfortunately, running out of equipment, some of these nukes got a bit too much foundation. You know, this was not very well drawn out. Likely had brood in it, is why I left it in the middle. So I'll move that the outside. This one I think will do them better in that position. So no brood yet, but certainly space, which is not good. I did have some challenges feeding my nukes. That week of rain didn't do any good at all. Almost picked that up without thinking. Yeah, look at this. There's just a lack of feed in here. These need to be plugged out, top to bottom. And they're not. See, there are subsets of nukes here, though. All these nukes are not the same profile. Generally, the nukes down at this end were the later ones that were made. And so I think this one might be... I mean, maybe it's just a poor queen, right? Maybe they just don't have population because she's a poor queen. If that's the case, then bye-bye. You know, it's just that I want to make sure I do everything I can do to let them flourish if that's what they are capable of, right? Because this one is a different story. This one is going to be a bit of a management nightmare right now. Okay, that's all syrup, both sides. Mostly syrup. A few sealed brood cells, but open cells with nothing in them. I'll just leave that glove on. Look at that patch of brood here, though. And there's 6-day-old larvae in the open cells. There's my red dot queen right here. She doesn't know when it's time to lay off. Take a break. A few sealed cells there. Some pollen, open syrup cells. See, this is just all emerging, so in a couple of days it'll likely have all emerged. Oh man, it's almost a syllabra brood. There's nothing in those open cells, and I've seen enough. All right, I have more to ponder. Well, I'm going to go cut some comb honey and ponder my situation. I'm not really sure what to think about this. I expected them to be farther along in their winter prep, more syrup on board and less brood. This one here kind of had the right idea. Almost no brood, but some of the others just keep going. But anyway, that's the situation, and I'll let you know how that turns out and what I'm going to do. But for now, thanks for watching. Take care and have fun.